Hello, everyone. Back again. Let's take a look at the Bruce Lee quotes from the official Bruce Lee social media accounts for March of 2024.
Do you have a favorite quote?
I do.
Have you got a quote for us, Jimmy?
Here's a new quote for you, all right?
Bruce Lee quote number 1.
If every man would help his neighbor, no man would be without help.
This is a common saying. Didn't originate with Bruce Lee. Variations of this saying can be found in literature throughout the last few centuries. Here is one variation from April 26, 1896 in the Spokesman Review newspaper. Really? I mean, it never occurred to you that that might not be a Bruce Lee quote?
I was trying to be neighborly.
That's neighborly of you.
Bruce Lee quote number 2.
Freedom has always been with us. It is not gained by following a formula. We do not become, we simply are.
This is an example of a Bruce Lee quote where the idea was taken from another source, but the wording is unique enough that we can say that it's Bruce Lee. And this was taken from Education and the Significance of Life, a book by Jiddu Krishnamurti, page 114, where he writes, "Freedom is at the beginning. It is not something to be gained at the end."
Being punk was supposed to be my freedom from all of this shit.
Bruce Lee quote number 3.
You must apply the most effective weapon as soon as possible to the most vulnerable target.
While this one seems like it's a certainty that Bruce Lee came up with it, unfortunately, it is not. This is taken from Teach Yourself Self-Defense, a book by Eric Domany, page 15. You must apply the most effective weapon as soon as possible to the most vulnerable point of your enemy. Another verbatim lift. That one was tough to take.
You want me to communicate that verbatim, or can I spice it up a little?
Bruce Lee quote number 4.
When one is not expressing himself, is not free.
This appears to be a legitimate Bruce Lee quote. At least I haven't found it anywhere else.
Can I get a hallelujah in here?
Hallelujah, brother. And pass the mustard.
Bruce Lee quote number 5.
It is easy to teach one to be skillful, but it is difficult to teach him his own attitude.
Here is another one that appears to be a legitimate Bruce Lee quote. I have not found it in any other source.
Show us another miracle!
Bruce Lee quote number 6.
Simplicity is the key to brilliance.
Once again, good news. This appears to be a legitimate Bruce Lee quote.
That's another miracle!
No, it isn't.
Bruce Lee quote number 7.
Everybody is capable of obtaining happiness, but the matter is in taking action to obtain it.
Here is another one that appears to be a legitimate Bruce Lee quote.
Where you been, Lee? I've been on the road, man!
Bruce Lee quote number 8.
You must accept the fact that there is no help but self-help.
So this quote is slightly adapted from Crisis in Consciousness, Commentaries on Love, Life, and Death, and Other Matters by Robert Powell, page 67, where he writes, "There is no help but self-help."
I knew it wouldn't last.
Bruce Lee quote number 9.
The art of Jeet Kune Do is simply to simplify.
Here we have a flashback.
Start flashback, please.
This is essentially a verbatim passage, although in this case, Bruce Lee took the word simplicity and changed it to Jeet Kune Do.
That was simple.
So in the original text of Wilfred Arlen Peterson's 1963 book, The New Book of the Art of Living, page 50, the passage goes, "The art of simplicity is simply to simplify."
The occasional acid flashback.
Bruce Lee quote number 10.
Under the sky, under the heavens, there is but one family.
So this is an interesting one. Bruce Lee himself, in the Pierre Berton interview where he says this, prefaces it by saying that he didn't want to sound like "as Confucius say." Well, he is in fact quoting Confucius when he says this. So it didn't originate with Bruce Lee. It came from Confucius. But it's also part of a philosophical idea known as Tianxia.
天下.
This idea of all under heaven. For the Chinese Communist government, they used this idea to justify their motivations for spreading communism throughout the world and for expanding power, influence, and government of China over other nations. This quote here explains it.
The scholarship on China as a potential superpower at the same time has reviewed historical Chinese visions and projections. The central notion of Tianxia, under heaven or all under heaven, has been instrumental in understanding and governing the Chinese world for a period of 2 millennia. It is philosophically related to the Confucian rationalism of bringing the world to one. The notion may refer to a government system held together by a regime of culture and values that transcends racial and geographical borders. Barabin Seva suggested that the ideal can be considered the best notion to represent China's traditional view of the known world as equal to the Chinese imperial territory, clearly distinguishable from the world order created by the European imperial powers. In its abstract form, all under heaven emphasizes China's peculiar role in the world, potentially introducing new thinking and roles based on Chinese exceptionalism. The original Tianxia aspired to a Chinese-controlled empire, although a tension between reality and imagination may be seen to transcend history.
Crikey, that's quite a mouthful.
That's a meaty mouthful.
So this interesting point is that during Bruce Lee's time, this idea was heavily used by the Chinese Communist Party to promote their plans of imperialism and the expansion of communist ideas.
Just like one big happy family.
One big happy family.
Be one big happy family, all right?
Bruce Lee quote number 11.
Have faith in yourself.
Seriously? You're trying to give Bruce Lee credit for so simple and fundamental a statement? You might as well give him credit for the phrases, "keep your head up," "never say never," and "practice makes perfect." I mean, there's no way that you can legitimately say that Bruce Lee is the originator of "have faith in yourself." This is starting to get a little ridiculous.
You must always have faith in yourself.
Have faith in yourself.
Have faith in yourself.
Have faith in yourself.
Okay, listen, have faith in yourself.
You just needed to have faith in yourself.
Bruce Lee quote number 12.
Wisdom does not consist of trying to wrest the good from the evil, but in learning to ride them as a cork adapts itself to the crests and troughs of the waves.
See, this one comes from that essay, A Moment of Understanding is the title of it, that Bruce wrote when he was a student at the University of Seattle, Washington. So this is a biggie. This one is taken from Alan Watts' This Is It. And why this one is a biggie is because this is purported to be a story about his personal life. In the essay, he wrote about reaching an impasse in his training with Yip Man. And he, got some words of wisdom from Yip Man, went off to reflect on it a bit, went out on a boat, punched the water and had this spiritual epiphany, none of which is true. Almost all of that story is taken from Alan Watts, enough so that it couldn't possibly have really occurred to Bruce Lee. So this story is at the least apocryphal and at most a complete fabrication. He never had that conversation with Yip Man because everything coming out of Yip Man's mouth was taken from Alan Watts. Being on the water, taken from Alan Watts. Seeing the bird overhead, taken from Alan Watts. And there's even a part in there that's taken from D.T. Suzuki, which I recently found. And there may be other parts in there that were taken from other sources. But when you remove all of these things that were taken from other sources, what's left couldn't possibly be a functional, authentic, real story about Bruce Lee.
It isn't true then.
Yeah, I mean, the story ain't true, right?
I guess that ain't true, huh?
My pa used to say that most stories ain't true and usually don't start where you expect.
Just 'cause it's a tall tale don't mean it ain't true.
Bruce Lee quote number 13.
When you freely express, you are total style.
This one's part of a larger quote credited Bruce Lee in the Tao of Jeet Kune Do, page 204. When there is no center and no circumference, then there is truth. When you freely express, you are the total style. This comes from Jiddu Krishnamurti from the book The Freedom of Known, page 94. So long as there is center creating space around itself, there is neither love nor beauty. When there is no center and no circumference, then there is love. And when you love, you are beauty. So the first part of this from the Tao of Jeet Kune Do is pretty much verbatim from Krishnamurti. The second part is an extrapolation of the idea where Bruce applied it to Jeet Kune Do. And that second part, the part that's included in this particular meme on social media, I would say that is legitimately Bruce Lee. Well, that's it for this month. Keep an eye out for the next edition of Bruce Lee Quotes. See you later.